Hello students, in today's class we are going to start the next chapter 13, limits and derivatives. Limits and derivatives is a very important concept which you should know because which is going to carry over in your next year as well as in your other topics related to science, derivatives and all you will be learning in your physics and chemistry. So have a better and clear idea about the chapter, then only we can proceed further in our mathematical studies, right? So here in the first we are going to learn what is meant by that limiting process, what is called as limit. That's what we are going to learn first with the intuitive idea of derivative. In the beginning they are not going to give you the meaning or the idea about derivative. Before that we are going to learn what is meant by limits. What is the limiting process, how it is going to be. That's what we are going to learn first, right? Now let us see what is meant by limits. See, consider the function f of x equals to x square. Observe that as x takes values very close to 0, the value of f of x also moves towards 0. So what does it mean? See, f of x equal to x squared is a function. So how can we obtain the values of this function? If we repeatedly substitute the values for x, we will get f of x value, right? Suppose if I put x equal to 1, then f of 1 is going to be 1 square, which is also 1. Then what is f of 2? F of 2 is going to be 2 square, which is equals to 4. Likewise, we can obtain the functional values by applying the values for x, right? So what is this limit says here? As x takes values very close to 0, which means when we are numerically or mathematically doing things, we will go only with the whole numbers. We will assume values for x as 0, 1, 2, 3 like that, right? So when you take that whole number values, we will obtain the functional values. But there are infinitely many values between 0 and 1, 1 and 2 that we know, right? So when we say that x takes values very close to 0, the value of f of x also moves towards 0, right? You can see this example. Say the first row denotes the x values and the second row denotes the functional values. They have taken the x value as 0. When they have taken x value as 0, that functional value is 9.8. When they have taken the x value as 1, the functional value is 14.7. Here you don't want to bother about what sort of function it is. Earlier we have seen a function f of x equal to x square. It may be any function, but analyze this table alone. When x is equal to 1.5, the functional value is 17.15. When it is 1.8, it is 18.62. 1.9, 19.11. 1.95, see the difference. 1.9, 1.95, 1.99. Right? If you see the values, it is 19.11, 19.355, 19.55. So what do you observe from this? When the values of x approaches the value 2, right, it is going near to 2, right? We have taken the value 0, 1, 1.5, 1.8, 1.9, 1.95, 1.99, right? So after 1.99 we will have 2, right? So if you see the difference between when we take the value 0, we got 9.8. When we have taken the value 1, 14.7. There is vast difference between 0 and 1 functional values, right? When we take 1 and 1.5, 14 to 17 we got. But when we take 1.5 to 1.8, we got 17 to 18. But when you see 1.9, 1.95, 1.99, there is no much difference between the functional values. It is 19.11, 19.355, 19.55. So what does it mean? As x approaches the value 2, the f of x values approaches 19.6. You got my point? What am I trying to explain you? When x approaches the value 2, it is not exactly taken the value 2. When it approaches to take the value 2, the f of x values approaches to take the value 19.6. 6. This is called the limiting process. When the x value approaches to some value, f of x is approaches to the particular value. You can make out the difference. When there are vast difference, there is a vast difference between the functional values. But when we are coming closer from this, we can see there is no much difference between 1.9, 1.95, 1.99 functional values. So it is clearly seen that it is approaching 19.6. Right. Similarly, if you see this table, right, here the x values are 4, 3, 2.5, 2.2, 2.1, 2.05, 2.01. Here also the x values approaches 2 only. But from which side? From bigger number to 2. But here from smaller number to 2. So the functional value can approach from any side, from right side or from left side. Right? See, here it is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Earlier we have seen the values of x approaches to from this side. Now this table shows the values of x approaches to from this side, from 4 to 2. See, it is keep reducing. 2.5, 2.2, 2.1, 2.05, 2.01. In that case also we saw the functional value reduces to 19.6. There is not much difference between these values. So when it approaches to, the functional values also approaches to 19.6. Right? As I explained you now, the values can approach, the values of x can approach, right? The functional values can approach either from right or from the left. So this lead to two limits, right hand limit and the left hand limit. See, the value which the function should assume at a given point x is equal to a, when x takes the value a, did not really depend on how x is tending to a. Right? It is not necessary. When x takes the accurate value a, it is not necessary. It is completely depending on how it is tending to a. Tending to a is different from taking the accurate value a. Hope you got it. When I say at x equal to 1, that is completely different from x approaches the value 1. Right? When I say x equals to 1, in the place of x, we will substitute the value as 1. But when I say when x approaches the value 1, which means we will take values less than, which is less than 1, and also greater than 1, which is nearing to 1. Right? That is called the limiting process. The value which the function should assume at a given point x equal to a did not really depend on how is x tending to a. There are essentially two ways x could approach a number a, either from left or from right. That is, all the values of x near a could be less than a or could be greater than a. This naturally leads to two limits, right hand limit and the left hand limit. The right hand limit is that value of f of x which is dictated by the values of f of x when x tends to a from the right. When x tends to a from the right, it is called as right hand limit. When it happens from the left, it is called as left hand limit. Right? So we will denote the left hand limit by this limit x tending to 0 minus. When we denote minus, it is left hand limit. When we denote plus, it is right hand limit. Limit x tends to 0 minus f of x is equal to 1. What does it mean? When x approaches the value 0 from the left hand side, f of x approaches the value 1. That is what the meaning for this. And then what does it mean? Limit x tends to 0 plus f of x equals to 2. When x approaches the value 0 from the right hand side, f of x approaches the value 2. Right? It is not necessary. From this you can understand it is not necessary the right hand limit and the left hand limit should be same. When x approaches the value 0 from the left hand side, the functional value approaches 1. But at the same time, when x approaches the value 0 from the right hand side, the functional value approaches the value 2. Right? This clearly tells us it is not necessary both right hand limit and left hand limit should be equal always. It can be different, right? What will happen when it is equal? Hence, we see, in this case, the right and left hand limits are different, and hence we say that the limit of f of x as x tends to 0 does not exist. When both are different, the limit does not exist. When the limit will exist? When both are equal. When both left hand limit and right hand limit are equal, we will say the common value as the limit of the function at that particular x value, and we will denote it by simply limit x tends to a f of x. What does it mean, limit x tends to a f of x? When x approaches the value a, f of x approaches to some functional value. If we write equal to some number, to that number the function approaches. That's what it means. Yes. So what we have learned so far? We have learned so far about the limiting process. What is the limiting process says? When the x value approaches, a particular value, what will happen to that appropriate function? That functional value approaches what number? That is called limit. Alright. The limit of a function will exist when both right hand limit and left hand limit are equal. Right, because a functional value can approach, a value of x can approach a particular number from right as well as from the left. It can approach a particular value from both the sides, from the right as well as from the left. Both the sides it can approach. If both the side it approaches the same functional value, then only the limit of the function will exist, and we will denote it by limit x tends to a f of x. When the right hand limit and the left hand limit are different, the limit of the function does not exist, and the left hand limit is denoted by limit x tends to a minus, right? When the right hand limit is denoted by plus. Yes, hope you got the gist of the topic limits. When we do the problem, you will get a better idea. Now let us see few illustrations. If you take this illustration, consider the function f of x equal to x cube. Let us try to find the limit of this function at x equal to 1. Proceeding as in the previous case, we tabulate the value of f of x at x near 1. See, they have given you the values. When x approaches the value 1, both from right side and left side they have given, and their corresponding functional values they have given. They asked you to find the limit of the function. So we have to check both right hand limit and the left hand limit, and if both exist and both are equal, then the limit of the function will exist. Right. So let us see what happens to its left hand limit. Left hand limit, when x approaches the value 1 through the left hand side, 0.9, 0.99, 0.999. So from the left, when it approaches the value 1, if you see the functional values, it also approaches 1. 0.99 is nothing but 1, right? It is increasing and it is approaching the value 1. So the left hand limit x tends to 1 minus f of x is 1, right? Let us analyze from the right hand side. What happens when x approaches the value 1 from the right hand side? 1.1, 1.01, 1.001 is almost 1. Right? If you see the values are decreasing, 1.3, 1.03, 1.003, so it also decreasing and approaching the value 1. The f of x also approaching the value 1. So the right hand limit x tends to 1 plus f of x is also equal to 1. So both left hand limit, right hand limit exist and both are equal to 1, and hence limit x tends to 1 f of x is equal to 1. Yes. Hope you understood. If you see the second problem is also in the same way. They asked you to find at x equal to 2. Now let us analyze both from right hand side and from the left hand side. What happens when x approaches the value 2? When x approaches the value 2 from the left hand side, the functional values approaches almost 6, 5.99. So from the right side, when it approaches, it also almost 6. Right? So both right hand side and left hand side approaches the value 6, and hence the limit will exist and it is also equal to 6. When there are vast difference between right hand limit and left hand limit, the limit of the function does not exist. I will show you another example in that case. If you take this example, illustration 9, See, the functional values are tabulated here, and we want to evaluate at a limit of the function at 0. We want to find a limit x tends to 0 f of x. The function is defined like this. When x is less than 0, the function is x minus 2. When x equal to 0, it is 0. When x is greater than 0, it is x plus 2. So they have taken few values which is less than 0 but approaching 0. Less than 0 but approaching 0. Therefore, minus 0.1, minus 0.01, minus 0.001. Right? In that case, the function is defined as x minus 2. So what is x? Minus 0.1 minus 2. So obviously we will get negative values. Then at x equal to 0, it is 0. It is clearly given. When x is greater than 0, when we take some positive values, but when it approaches 0. So they have taken 0.001, 0.01, 0.1. The functional value is x plus 2. So this plus 2. So we got these functional values. So when we analyze here, when we see what happens when x approaches the value 0 from the left hand side, we see the functional values approaches what value? Minus 2. Right? Therefore, the left hand limit is minus 2. But when we see what happens when x approaches the value 0 from the right hand side, the f of x values approaches the value plus 2. Right? So the right hand limit is plus 2. So there is a vast difference between the left hand limit and the right hand limit. That is minus 2 and this is plus 2. Both are not equal and hence the limit of the function is not defined, or you can say the limit of the function does not exist. Hope you can make out the difference between the previous illustrations and this illustration. Right? Hope you understood. So what we have learnt so far, limits of a function. What is meant by left hand limit? Limit x tends to a minus f of x is the expected value of f at x equal to a. It is not the exact value, it is the expected value. Given the values of f near to x to the left of a. Near to x to the left of a. Right? It is called a left hand limit. Right hand limit means it is the expected value of f at x equal to a given the values of f near to x to the right of a. Only when both left and right hand limits coincide, we call that common value as the limit of the function, and we will denote it by limit x tends to a f of x. Right? Next, we are going to learn about the algebra of limits. So we can do all our algebraic operations, arithmetic operations with the limits as well. Let f and g be two functions such that both the limit exist. Then limit x tends to a f of x plus g of x is nothing but limit x tends to a f of x plus limit x tends to a g of x. This is true for subtraction, multiplication, and even for a division, quotient when the denominator is not equal to 0, and this is also true when we have a scalar where lambda is any real number. Then limit x tends to a lambda into f of x is nothing but lambda into limit x tends to a f of x, because this is independent of x, so you can take it out. That limiting process is not going to affect the scalar, so you can take the scalar out, which is limit x tends to a f of x. So all the arithmetic operations are true for the limit of the two functions when they exist. Right? Next, we are going to see one more important result. Limits of polynomials and rational functions. What is going to be the limit of a polynomial or a rational function? A function f is said to be a polynomial function of degree n. F of x equal to a naught plus a1x plus a2x square plus etc. a n x power n is a polynomial function of degree n. Okay, degree n, which means highest power is n, where ai's are real numbers such that an is not equal to 0 for some natural number n. Now we know that limit x tends to a, x is equal to a. Yes or no? When limit x tends to a, the function itself is x, the same number. Therefore, the functional value will also approach a only. If this is the case, then what will happen to limit x tends to a x square? X square can be written as x into x. Now we have two functions like f of x into g of x. Just now we have seen algebra of limits. The product we can segregate. right? Therefore, limit x tends to a, x into x is same as limit x tends to a, x into limit x tends to a, x, which is nothing but a into a, which is a square. So, limit x tends to a, x square is a square. If limit x tends to a, x is equal to a. If limit x tends to a, x is equal to a, then limit x tends to a, x square is a square. And similarly, limit x tends to a, x power n is also going to be a power n. Now, using this only, we are going to find the limit of a polynomial function. Now, this is what our polynomial. We need to know what happens to limit x tend to a, f of x. So, which means limit x tends to a, we have written the polynomial. Now, again, we are going to apply all the algebra of limits. We are going to split everything. So, limit x tends to a naught plus limit x tends to a 1x plus limit x tends to a 2x square plus etc. Right? Now, a naught is a constant. It is independent of x. Therefore, it will be a naught only. When it comes to here, it is a1 is like a scalar, like the last property of algebra of limits, what we told. If lambda is a scalar, lambda into f of x is lambda into limit x tends to a f of x. Likewise, we can take that a1 outside. So, limit x tends to a x. Limit x tends to a x is nothing but a. Similarly, here limit x tends to a x squared. X square is nothing but a square. Likewise, we got an into a power n, which is nothing but f of a. Yes, f of x means we had all the constants and we have x. So, instead of x, we have a in the polynomial. Therefore, it is going to be f of a. Therefore, limit x tends to a, f of x is equal to f of a. Limit x tends to a, f of x is equal to f of a. Right? Similarly, we are going to see the limit for a rational function. If f of x is equal to g of x by h of x, then limit x tends to a, f of x equals to limit x tends to a, g of x by h of x. Now again, using the algebra of limits, we can apply the limits to the numerator and denominator separately. Just now we have seen limit x tends to a, f of x is f of a. Therefore, limit x tends to a, g of x is g of a. Similarly, divided by h of a. Right? Now, there are two cases. If h of a equal to 0, there are two scenarios. What is those two scenarios? Either g of a can be equal to 0 or g of a is not equal to 0. When the denominator is equal to 0, we have to analyze the problem in two scenarios. One is whether the numerator is 0 or it is not equal to 0. In these two scenarios, we have to analyze the problem. Right? So, what will happen if the numerator is not equal to 0 but the denominator is equal to 0? We will say the limit does not exist. The limit does not exist when the denominator is 0 and the numerator is not equal to 0. Numerator is not equal to 0 and denominator is equal to 0. We will say the limit does not exist. When both numerator and denominator are 0, we will rewrite the terms. We will rewrite the terms in such a way the things which lead to 0, we will cancel it. We try to factorize it. We will try to reduce it in order to avoid the case of 0 by 0. And then we will do the problem. So that I will explain with the example so that you will get a better idea. Right? So far what are all the things we have seen? Algebra of limits, the limits, addition, subtraction, multiplication and division, and what will happen using a scalar. And also we have seen limits of a polynomial. Limit x tends to a, f of x is f of a. Then also we have seen limit of a rational function. Right? And this limit of a rational function should be analyzed in two scenarios when the denominator is equal to 0. When the denominator is equal to 0, you can analyze in two scenarios. One is numerator is equal to 0 or numerator is not equal to 0. If the denominator is not equal to 0, we can give the answer directly. Right? Now see this example. They asked you to evaluate limit x tends to 1, x cube minus x square plus 1. What we can do with this? We know using algebra of limits, this can be written as limit x tends to 1 x cube minus limit x tends to 1 x square plus limit x tends to 1, 1, right? we know if x tends to a, limit x tends to a x power n will tend to a power n. We have seen, right? If limit x tends to a x power n is equal to a power n. This result just now we have seen. So here limit x tends to 1 and x power n, right? So it will go to a power n. So 1 power 3, right? N is 3 here, a is 1 here, minus this is going to be 1 square and this is independent of x, so it is going to be 1. So 1 minus 1 plus 1 plus 1 minus 1 is get cancelled, so the answer is 1. So this how only you have to solve the problem, right? Now let me show you another example where we will get it in the form of 0 by 0. What happens if the denominator is equal to 0, right? Now see this example. Now let us see this problem. Limit x tends to 2, x cube minus 4x square plus 4x divided by x square minus 4. As usual, what we should do? We have to find at x is equal to 2. This is of a rational form. So we can do the limiting process to the numerator and the denominator separately. So at x tends to 2. What will happen to the numerator? I am not going to write like this. Hope you have understood. This is like we are going to split x tends to 2 x cube and then minus 4 into limit x tends to 2 x square plus 4 into limit x tends to 2 x. Alright. So what will happen here? Limit x tends to 2 x cube is going to be 2 cube minus 4 into limit x tends to 2 x square is going to be 2 square. That is what we have seen here, right? So limit x tends to a x power n is a power n plus 4 into limit x tends to 2 x is going to be 2 divided by limit x tends to 2 x square is going to be 2 square minus limit x tends to 2 4 is going to be 4, right? So this is equal to 2 cube is 8 minus 2 2s are 4, 4 4s are 16 plus 4 2s are 8 divided by 2 2s are 4 minus 4. So numerator 8 plus 8 is 16 minus 16 is 0, 4 minus 4 is 0. So we got 0 by 0 form, right? So when we arrive at 0 by 0 form, what we should do is we have to factorize and reduce it in order to avoid which leads to the form of 0 by 0. We have to eliminate the terms which lead to 0 by 0 form. So how can we factorize this? Let us see. Now take the question. Hence, now limit x tends to 2. How to factorize the numerator? I can take one x common, right? So I'll get x square minus 4x plus 4. Yes, a denominator again I can write it as limit x tends to 2 x plus 2 into x minus 2. So a plus b into a minus b format. And if you see the numerator, it is x minus 2 the whole square, right? A minus b the whole square. So this can be written as limit x tends to 2. You can write it as a single limit. So numerator it will be x into x minus 2 the whole square divided by, this is going to be x plus 2 into x minus 2, right? So x minus 2 will get cancelled. So we got limit x tends to 2 x into x minus 2 divided by x plus 2. Now if we apply the limit, what will happen? The numerator will become 0, but the denominator is not equal to 0. In that case, the limit is going to be 0 by anything is going to be 0 only. Only if we have denominator as 0, we will get all those sort of confusion because it is not defined if we have 0 in the denominator. So what will happen here? Limit x tends to 2, x is going to be 2 into limit x tends to 2, x minus 2 is going to be 2 minus 2 divided by limit x tends to 2, x plus 2 is going to be 2 plus 2. So it is going to be 2 minus 2 is 0, 0 into 2 is 0, 0 divided by 4 which is nothing but 0. Therefore, limit x tends to 2, the question is which is equals to 0. Yes. Hope you understood. So when you have the form of 0 by 0, you should not leave the problem as such. What you have to do? You have to rewrite or reduce the question, whereby eliminating the terms which leads to 0 by 0 form. You have to try to eliminate the terms which leads to 0 by 0 form, and then you have to apply the limiting process, and you have to get your answer. Right? Hope you understood. Next, let us see the next theorem. For any positive integer n, limit x tends to a, x power n minus a power n divided by x minus a equals to n into a power n minus 1. You have to remember this result. Limit x tends to a, x power n minus a power n divided by x minus a equals to n into a power n minus 1. And this expression is true even if n is an rational number and a is positive. This is true for any rational value of n and positive value of a. Let us see how can we prove this. So first, we are going to rewrite x power n minus a power n in a form like this. How can we write like this? X minus a into x power n minus 1 plus x power n minus 2 into a plus x power n minus 3 into a square. That is, we are reducing the parts of x and we are increasing the powers of a. Whereas the first term is x power n minus 1 and the last term is a power n minus 1. And we are going to multiply entirely with x minus a. We are writing in the form of a polynomial. How this is true? How this will be equal to x power n minus a power n? If you multiply each term, see, all the term will get cancelled. Now x into x power n minus 1 is what? X power n. Right? Minus 1. N minus 1 plus 1 minus 1 will get cancelled. You will get x power n. Right? Next, if I multiply this with this, I will get x power n minus 1 into a. Next, I will get x power n minus 2 into a. Yes? Likewise, it goes on till x into a power n minus 1. Next term we have minus a into, right? So if I multiply this, I will get minus a into x power n minus 1 minus x power n minus 2 into a square. Likewise, it goes on till your last term is a power n minus 1 into a. So you will get a power n. Right? If you see the in between terms, see, x power n minus 1 into a, this is minus x power n minus 1 into a. X power n minus 2 into a, this is minus x power n minus 2 into a. Likewise, all the term will get cancelled except x power n minus a power n. Therefore, x power n minus a power n can be rewritten as x minus a into x power n minus 1 plus x power n minus 2 into a plus x power n minus 3 into a square plus etc. a power n minus 1. That is, we are reducing the powers of x and increasing the powers of a. Right? Now, after rewriting this, our question is limit x tending to a, x power n minus a power n divided by x minus a. Right? So, which is equal to limit x tending to a, this x power n minus a power n we can write like this, divided by 1x minus a. So, x minus a, this x minus a will get cancelled. We will get limit x tends to a only this polynomial. Right? Just now we have seen algebra of the limits of the functions, right? So, we can split all these. So, this can be written as limit x tends to a, x power n minus 1 plus limit x tends to a, x power n minus 2, right? When x approaches a, x power n minus 1 will approach a power n minus 1, right? This a is independent of x. When x approaches a, x power n minus 2 will approach a power n minus 2. Likewise, if we substitute and simplify, we will end up with a power n minus 1 added to n terms, which is nothing but n into a power n minus 1. Therefore, limit x tends to a, x power n minus a power n divided by x minus a is nothing but n into a power n minus 1. So, based on this theorem and algebra of limits, we are going to solve the problems now. Yes. Now let us see how to solve this problem. Limit x tends to 1, x power 15 minus 1 divided by x power 10 minus 1, right? So this we are going to solve using this theorem. What is the theorem? Limit x tends to a, x power n minus a power n divided by x minus a equals to n into a power n minus 1. Now immediately a question will arise. How do I know I should use this theorem? How do I know whether I have to follow the method which you explained earlier? So it all depends on your regular practice. So when you perform more problems, when you practice more problems, you will get a better idea which will give you a better and easy answer. Which method will give you a easy answer in fewer steps, that you will get an idea, right? But if we follow the regular steps to this problem, what will happen? What we will do as a first step, we will apply the limit. So when we apply the limit to the numerator and denominator separately, we will get 1 power 15 minus 1. Anyhow, numerator and denominator will get 0, so 0 by 0 form. When we end up with 0 by 0 form, we have to reduce it in order to avoid 0 by 0 form. So to reduce it, again it is not in an easy way to simplify, right? So rather we can use this method. When you have x tends to a power n should have, right? Here x tends to 1, here we have 1, right? So x power n minus 1 power 15 you can write. 1 power anything is going to be 1 only. But denominator is not in the form of x minus a. Denominator is also in the form of x power n minus a power n. So what are we going to do? We are going to divide both numerator and denominator by our required denominator, right? So what are we going to do here is limit x tends to 1. We are going to do x power 15 minus 1 divided by x minus 1 divided by x power 10 minus 1 divided by x minus 1. We are going to divide by x minus 1, multiply and divide, right? Then what will happen now? Now we can apply the limits. So limit x tends to 1, this is nothing but x power 15 minus 1 divided by x minus 1 divided by x power 10 minus 1 divided by x minus 1. This is like x minus 1 is multiplied and divided by. Yes or no? This is like multiplied and divided because it will come to the numerator, right? So we can do anything in math without changing its actual meaning. We can multiply and divide by a same number. We can add and subtract by a same number. So without changing its actual meaning, we can do anything. That's why we have multiplied and divided by x minus 1, which is needed for the problem, right? Now you can apply the limits separately. So this will become limit x tends to 1, x power 15 minus 1 divided by x minus 1 divided by limit x tends to 1, x power 10 minus 1 divided by x minus 1. Now it is of the form x tends to a, x power n minus a power n divided by x minus a, which is equal to n into a power n minus 1. Now what is our n? 15. So 15 into a power, a is 1, 1 power 15 minus 1 divided by, the same way here n is 10, 10 into 1 power 10 minus 1. Right? So 15 into 1 power anything is going to be 15 only divided by 10. 1 power 10 minus 1, 9, which is going to be 1 only. Now what is 15 divided by 10? 5 tables, 5 3s are, 5 2s are. So it is going to be 3 by 2. Yes, hope you understood, right? Let me explain one more problem. Let us see how can we solve a problem of this kind. Here limit x tends to 0, square root of 1 plus x minus 1 divided by x. Here we can go with substitution method because we have square root here, right? So what am I going to do is let 1 plus x is equal to y. And kindly remember, when you make substitutions for the variable, accordingly the limit also will change. Here x only tends to 0. When you replace a variable by another variable, the corresponding limit you have to find out. We have substituted 1 plus x as y. So, therefore, when x tends to 0, what will happen to y? When x tends to 0, 1 plus 0 is 1. Therefore, y will tend to 1. Right? When x tends to 0, y will tend to 1. So, accordingly, the question will change now. Limit y tends to 1, square root of y minus 1 divided by 1 plus x is equal to y. Therefore, x is equal to what? Y minus 1. So, denominator we will get y minus 1. Because denominator we have x, so it will become y minus 1. Now, it is of the form limit y tends to 1, y power half minus 1. Square root is nothing but half divided by y minus 1. So, this is of the form limit x tends to a, x power n minus a power n divided by x minus a. Yes or no? So, this is equals to n into, n is nothing but here half, n into a power, a is 1, n minus 1. So, half minus 1, right? So, which is equal to half into 1 power minus half. 1 power anything is going to be 1 only. So, the answer is half, right? Hope you understood. So far I have explained you. We have seen 4 different models of problems. So, first we have seen if it is going to be a simple polynomial, what we can do, we can split the limits and we can arrive at answer because we know limit x tends to a, x power n is a power n. Right? And when it is going to be a rational function, you have to check whether it is of the form 0 by 0. If it is ended with 0 by 0, you have to reduce the given question in such a way to avoid the 0 by 0 form, and then you have to apply the limiting process. If it is not in the form of 0 by 0, if you have 0 divided by some denominator, the answer is going to be 0 only. If both numerator and denominator are not equal to 0, whatever answer you are getting, that is going to be your answer. This is the case only when the both numerator and denominator is equal to 0. Then we have seen problem using the theorem limit x tend to a, x power n minus a power n divided by x minus a, which is equal to n into a power n minus 1. And we have also seen a problem using substitution method, right? So, in today's class, what are all the things we have learned? We have learned what is meant by right hand limit, what is meant by left hand limit, and what is meant by limit of a function. The limit of a function will exist only when the left hand limit and right hand limit coincide, right? And we will denote it by limit x tends to a, f of x is equal to L, where L is called a limit of the function. Then we have learnt 3 important things. First one is about algebra of limits, all the 4 arithmetic operations of limits. Then we have learnt the limit of polynomials and rational functions. Limit x tends to a, f of x is f of a. Then we have learnt one more important theorem. For any positive integer positive integer n, limit x tends to a, x power n minus a power n divided by x minus a is equal to n into a power n minus 1. And using all these results, we have seen few problems, right? So with this, let us wind up today's class. I want you to do these problems as homework from exercise 13.1. All these questions are based on the things what we discussed in today's class. And if you have doubts, you can ask me. Thank you, students.